When we think about Star Wars heroes, our minds instantly jump to Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and Han Solo. But what about the unsung warriors who changed the course of galactic history without getting their faces on lunchboxes? The rebels who infiltrated Imperial academics, the Jedi who survived Order 66 through sheer willpower and cunning, the pilots who destroyed capital ships with nothing but skill and determination. These forgotten champions shaped the galaxy just as much as the main cast, yet somehow they've been relegated to the footnotes of Star Wars history. However, that's about to change right now, because today we're diving deep into the stories of 10 heroes whose contributions were so significant that the galaxy as we know it wouldn't exist without them, and I guarantee at least half of these names will surprise you. Let's kick things off with a clone who refused to follow his programming. Captain Rex, CT-7567, stands as one of the most important military minds in the Clone Wars, yet he's consistently overshadowed by the Jedi who commanded him. Rex wasn't just following orders. He questioned tactics, developed battlefield strategies, and formed genuine friendships that transcended his accelerated aging and indoctrination. Rex served under Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano, developing a distinct personality beyond his programming. He customized his armor with Jade eyes, a Mandalorian honor symbol earned through combat excellence. Here's where it gets controversial. Rex was more effective as a military commander than as a Jedi. While Jedi relied on Force abilities, Rex understood combined arms warfare, tactical positioning, and combat psychology that generals often overlooked. He survived Order 66 by removing his inhibitor chip, fighting off genetic programming through pure willpower. After the Clone Wars, Rex fought in the Rebellion at the Battle of Endor, meaning this soldier served in every major conflict from the Clone Wars through the Galactic Civil War. That bearded soldier on Endor fighting alongside Han Solo? That's Rex. His story spans generations, and without him, Ahsoka probably wouldn't have survived the Siege of Mandalore. But wait until you hear about the Jedi who infiltrated the dark side itself without losing his soul. Now we're diving into Legends with a character so beloved that fans still campaign to bring him back into canon. Katarn started as an Imperial officer, discovered the Empire murdered his parents, defected to the Rebellion, became a mercenary, discovered he was Force sensitive, became a Jedi, and eventually became one of the greatest Jedi Masters in New Republic history. That overpowered character arc is what makes him fascinating. Katarn stole the Death Star plans in the original Dark Forces game, showing his importance to the expanded universe. Now here's something that might surprise you. Katarn was a better Jedi than Luke Skywalker in many ways. While Luke struggled with the dark side, Katarn dipped into dark side powers, used them effectively, and pulled himself back through sheer willpower. He used Force lightning without falling completely, something almost no other Jedi accomplished. His fighting style combined Jedi philosophy with mercenary experience. Katarn would shoot you, punch you, use the Force, or throw thermal detonators depending on the situation. This practical approach made him a nightmare for Sith who expected traditional Jedi behavior. The character challenged everything about Jedi philosophy, and proved emotional connections could serve the light side. If you thought that challenged conventional Jedi wisdom, wait until you meet the rebel leader who took the fight to extremes most heroes wouldn't dare. Gerrera is the hero nobody wants to admit is a hero because his methods were brutal and bordered on terrorism. But here's the truth. The Rebellion needed someone to do the dirty work Mon Mothma's alliance wasn't prepared to handle. Saw started fighting separatists on Onderon as a teenager, trained by Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka Tano, and Captain Rex themselves. After the Clone Wars, Saw kept fighting. While others organized and planned, Saw was blowing up Imperial installations before the Rebellion officially existed. He formed the Partisans, an extremist cell the mainstream Rebellion kept at arm's length. What most people won't admit, Saw was probably right about the aggression needed to fight the Empire. He rescued Jyn Erso after Imperial forces killed her mother, raised her as a soldier, and then abandoned her to protect her from his increasingly dangerous operations. That self-awareness is remarkable. Saw knew he was too extreme, too damaged to keep Jyn safe, so he let her go. Jyn later led the mission to steal the Death Star plans, partially because of Saw's training. By Rogue One, Saw's body is broken. He breathes through a respirator, more machine than man after decades of fighting. He became what Darth Vader could have been if Vader stayed loyal to the light. Both were broken warriors sustained by technology, but Saw chose to die when the Death Star destroyed Jedha. His final moments weren't about heroism, but a tired soldier finally resting after fighting longer than anyone should. But if you think Saw's story is intense, wait until you hear about the smuggler who rivaled Han Solo himself. Let's talk about the Han Solo nobody remembers. Dash Rendar appeared in Shadows of the Empire, bridging Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. His family was wealthy Corellian nobility until the Empire destroyed them, forcing Dash into smuggling. Dash was essentially written as a mirror to Han, but with differences that made him fascinating. Dash piloted the Outrider, a modified YT-2400 freighter, arguably faster and better armed than the Millennium Falcon. He helped Luke recover from Hoth injuries, assisted rescuing Han from Jabba's palace, and fought Prince Xizor's criminal empire. And get this, Dash Rendar was a better pilot than Han Solo. His flying at the Battle of Gaul impressed even Rogue Squadron pilots. What makes Dash underrated is his development throughout Shadows of the Empire. He started as a mercenary interested only in credits, but gradually became invested in the rebellion without losing his independence. Unlike Han, who joined because of Leia, Dash joined because the Empire destroyed his family. His motivations were personal revenge, transformed into ideological commitment, arguably stronger than Han's romantic interest. Dash supposedly died destroying Prince Xizor's skyhook over Coruscant, but his fate was left ambiguous. He represented a path not taken for Han Solo. If Han had lost everything to the Empire and never met Luke and Leia, he might have become Dash. Skilled, clinical, ultimately heroic, fighting for personal reasons that evolved into something greater. Now let's discuss a Twi'lek pilot who built a rebellion from scratch and succeeded where others failed. Hera Syndulla is possibly the most competent military commander in modern Star Wars canon, yet she gets overshadowed by flashier characters with lightsabers. Hera was running successful rebel operations before the Rebel Alliance officially existed. She formed the Ghost Crew, recruited a diverse team, and turned them into one of the most effective rebel cells in the galaxy. Her tactical brilliance eventually made her a general commanding critical Alliance missions. Hera's piloting skills are legendary. She could fly anything with equal proficiency, and her signature maneuvers became training materials for future pilots. During the Battle of Lothal, she commanded a small fleet against Grand Admiral Thrawn himself, and won through superior tactics. Thrawn, the genius who predicted enemy behavior through their art, was outmaneuvered by a Twi'lek pilot using pure skill. Bold statement time, Hera deserved more recognition than almost any Rebels character. While Ezra got the typical Jedi hero arc, Hera held everything together, made impossible decisions, and kept the crew alive through leadership alone. Her relationship with Canon added emotional depth without defining her entirely through romance, refreshing in a franchise that often reduces female characters to love interests. After Kanan's death, Hera raised her son Jacen while continuing to serve. She fought at Endor and survived to see the Empire's defeat, making her one of few characters who participated from the rebellion's earliest days through ultimate victory. She lost her partner, friends, and years fighting, yet never became bitter. Hera remained dedicated to building something better rather than destroying what existed. But speaking of Jedi partners, let's talk about the blind warrior who redefined what it means to be a Force user. Caleb Doom survived Order 66 as a Padawan and spent years hiding under the name Kanan Jarrus, working as a freelance pilot. When Hera recruited him, Kanan hadn't touched a lightsaber in over a decade, yet became one of the most important Jedi of his generation. Kanan was fundamentally flawed and succeeded despite his limitations, not because of inherent power or destiny. Kanan's training was incomplete. His master died during Order 66, leaving him with fragments of knowledge. When he took Ezra as his Padawan, he was learning how to be a Jedi while teaching someone else. This created a unique dynamic where master and apprentice grew together rather than following traditional hierarchy. This might be unpopular, but Kanan was a better Jedi than most prequel-era council members because he understood attachment wasn't inherently dangerous. His love for Hera made him stronger. His friendships gave him reasons to fight beyond abstract concepts. When Maul blinded Kanan, he didn't seek revenge. Instead, he learned to see through the Force in ways sighted Jedi never could, becoming more powerful after his injury. Kanan's sacrifice during the Lothal fuel depot explosion was one of the most powerful moments in Star Wars animation. He held back a massive explosion using the Force, saved his crew, and died knowing he'd given them a chance to continue. Before death, he briefly regained his sight through the Force, seeing Hera one last time. The scene demonstrated everything Kanan represented: selflessness, love, sacrifice, and understanding that being a Jedi meant protecting others regardless of personal cost. Speaking of powerful Force users nobody talks about, let's discuss the Emperor's apprentice who chose redemption over power. The Force Unleashed gave us one of the most overpowered characters in Star Wars legends. Darth Vader found Galen as a child on Kashyyyk after killing his father, Jedi Kento Marek. Vader secretly trained Galen as his apprentice to overthrow Emperor Palpatine. Ready for this? Galen was probably more powerful than both Vader and the Emperor at his peak, breaking established Star Wars power scaling. Galen's Force abilities included pulling a Star Destroyer out of orbit, something we'd never seen before. He could unleash Force lightning rivaling the Emperor's, used Force repulse to obliterate entire squads, and his lightsaber skills dueled Vader to a standstill. The character was essentially a Force god, both his greatest strength as power fantasy and his biggest weakness as a believable character. What makes Galen interesting beyond raw power is his redemption arc. Vader betrayed him, leading Galen to ally with the nascent rebellion. He rescued key rebel leaders from Imperial custody and helped form the Alliance foundations. The rebel system in Legends comes from Galen's family crest, meaning every soldier wore his emblem unknowingly. His sacrifice rescuing the rebel founders on the Death Star inspired the Alliance and proved even someone raised as a Sith could choose the light. Galen represented that your past doesn't define your future, and redemption is possible even for those trained in darkness from childhood. His story parallels Anakin's, except Galen succeeded where Anakin failed by choosing the light side before it was too late. Now let's talk about a senator who shaped galactic politics while everyone focused on the warriors. Bail Organa might be the most important non-Force sensitive character in Star Wars, yet he's consistently forgotten because his heroism happened in meeting rooms rather than battlefields. Without Bail, there would be no Rebel Alliance, no Princess Leia, and probably no victory over the Empire. This man played five-dimensional chess while everyone else learned checkers. Bail served as Senator of Alderaan during the Republic's final years and witnessed the transformation into the Empire. Unlike senators who supported Palpatine or cowered, Bail immediately began organizing resistance. He rescued Yoda after Order 66, helped Obi-Wan fake his death, and adopted Leia Skywalker to protect her from Vader and the Emperor. Think about the courage required to adopt Darth Vader's daughter while actively leading a rebellion. Bail spent 2 decades building the rebellion while maintaining his cover as a loyal Imperial senator. He balanced his public persona with secret meetings and covert operations. His wife, Queen Breha, supported these efforts, making Alderaan a sanctuary for refugees and dissidents. They raised Leia as both princess and rebel, teaching diplomacy alongside combat skills. Bail's death during Alderaan's destruction was horrific, but served a purpose beyond demonstrating the Death Star's power. His sacrifice showed the Empire would destroy anything to maintain control. Alderaan's destruction radicalized neutral systems, pushing them into the rebellion. In a sense, Bail's death accomplished more than many actions during life, though nobody would argue the price was worth paying. But if you think political maneuvering is impressive, wait until you hear about the artist who fought the Empire with paint and explosives. Sabine Wren might be the most unique hero in Star Wars, combining Mandalorian warrior culture, artistic expression, and weapons expertise into a completely original archetype. Born into House Vizsla on Mandalore, Sabine attended the Imperial Academy and helped create a weapon the Empire used against Mandalorians. Her guilt drove her to defect and join the Ghost Crew, becoming one of the rebellion's most effective operatives. Sabine's expertise extended across multiple disciplines. She was an expert demolitionist, building bombs from scrap, a skilled fighter trained in Mandalorian combat, and a talented artist leaving graffiti at every Imperial installation she sabotaged. Her art wasn't just aesthetic expression, it was political protest, psychological warfare, and identity maintenance in a galaxy that wanted to erase individual cultures. Every Starbird symbol told the Empire that Mandalorians still existed and resisted. Think about this for a second. Sabine accomplished something only one other person in canon did. She wielded the Darksaber, an ancient Mandalorian weapon tied to Mandalore's leadership. Unlike Force-sensitive characters who casually pick up lightsabers, Sabine struggled initially. She had to train extensively and earn the right through personal growth and acceptance of her heritage. When she passed the Darksaber to Bo-Katan, she understood leadership meant putting the right person in power, not clinging to symbols. Sabine's post-Rebels story connects to Ahsoka, where she's searching for Ezra years after his disappearance. Training with Ahsoka to become Force-sensitive later adds another layer, proving dedication can unlock seemingly impossible abilities. Sabine represents that heroes aren't born, they're made through choices, training, and commitment to something greater. Speaking of commitment, let's discuss the Emperor's Hand, who became a Jedi Master. Mara Jade might be the single most popular character from Legends continuity. She started as the Emperor's personal assassin, trained in the Force by Palpatine himself, given missions from intelligence gathering to eliminating high-value targets. Her last command from the Emperor as he died on Endor was to kill Luke Skywalker. This created an obsession driving Mara for years as she hunted the man she blamed for the Emperor's death while building a new life. What makes Mara fascinating is that she wasn't a typical darkside user corrupted by power. Mara genuinely believed in the Emperor and the order he provided, viewing the Empire as a stabilizing force. When that worldview shattered, she had to rebuild her entire identity from nothing. She became a smuggler working for Talon Card, gradually learning about the Empire's real atrocities, and eventually confronted her feelings about Luke. Here's my take. Mara was more interesting than Luke in many ways. While Luke struggled with destiny and rebuilding the Jedi Order, Mara fought to redefine herself after losing everything she believed. Her journey from Emperor's Hand to Jedi Master was more compelling because it required complete psychological and philosophical transformation. She had to admit everything she believed was a lie, forgive herself for committing crimes, and find new purpose in a galaxy that no longer made sense. Mara's relationship with Luke developed naturally over years, from enemies to allies, to friends, to eventually husband and wife. They had a son named Ben who became significant in later Legends material. Her death during Legacy of the Force was controversial, but her impact cannot be overstated. She proved redemption was possible for anyone, even those who willingly served evil. Finally, let's talk about a Jedi who survived everything the galaxy threw at him through sheer stubbornness. Quinlan Vos is probably the most morally complicated Jedi in canon and Legends. Quinlan was a Jedi Master specialized in psychometry, the ability to read object history through the Force. This power made him incredibly effective as an investigator and undercover operative, but exposed him to dark side influences more directly than most Jedi experienced. Throughout his career, Quinlan flirted with the dark side repeatedly, sometimes undercover and sometimes genuinely falling before pulling back. During the Clone Wars, Quinlan worked deep undercover, infiltrating separatist organizations and criminal syndicates. His missions were so secretive that even the Jedi Council lost track of him. Nobody wants to say this out loud, but Quinlan was essentially a Jedi war criminal. He committed murders, torture, and atrocities while undercover, justifying them as serving the greater good. The question nobody wants to answer is whether those actions were justifiable or if Quinlan had fallen to the dark side while convincing himself he served the light. His relationship with Asajj Ventress added complexity to both characters. Ventress was a Sith assassin who eventually turned against Count Dooku. Quinlan and Asajj worked together assassinating Dooku, fell in love during the operation, and their relationship became one of the most nuanced romances in Star Wars. Asajj saved Quinlan from the dark side when he nearly fell completely, sacrificing herself to redeem him. Their story is told in Dark Disciple, challenging the idea that Jedi cannot form attachments without falling. Quinlan survived Order 66 and went into hiding, eventually reuniting with his family and living quietly during the Empire's reign. His survival proves that mavericks who bent the rules were better prepared to survive when everything collapsed. Quinlan represented a path the Jedi Order could have taken, acknowledging morality's complexity and allowing emotional connections without fear of inevitable corruption. So there you have it, 10 heroes who shaped galactic history without getting nearly enough recognition. From clone troopers who defied their programming to Jedi who survived impossible odds, from political masterminds to artistic rebels, these characters prove that heroism takes countless forms. The next time someone asks you about Star Wars heroes, maybe skip the obvious names and tell them about Mara Jade training to kill Luke before becoming his wife, or Saw Gerrera fighting until his body literally fell apart, or Hera Syndulla outmaneuvering Thrawn through pure piloting skill. These forgotten champions remind us that the galaxy isn't saved by prophecies or destiny. It's saved by people making difficult choices, fighting impossible battles, and refusing to give up, even when victory seems impossible. Whether they wielded lightsabers or blasters, political influence or artistic expression, these heroes defined what it means to stand up against tyranny. If you enjoyed diving into these underrated characters, make sure to click the link in the description to watch my previous video. And hey, if you want more deep dives into Star Wars lore, hit that subscribe button and join the rebellion. Trust me, there are so many more forgotten heroes, obscure villains, and wild stories from both canon and legends that deserve to be remembered. The Star Wars galaxy is massive, and we've barely scratched the surface. May the Force be with you, and remember, sometimes the greatest heroes are the one nobody remembers to celebrate.